Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to combine chain and strung jewelry. Now as you can see, I'm in the middle of working on a multi-strand necklace here, so I have two completed pieces up here. So I've combined some strung piece here to chain, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this video. So you can see I have my third strung piece here on my beading wire with my little bead stoppers, and then I have my two pieces of chain. Now to connect this, I'm going to need some crimps, some crimp covers, and I'm going to be using some wire protectors. Now, if you didn't want to use the wire protectors, you can also do this by using closed jump rings and open jump rings, and I'll talk you through how to do that in just a moment. To combine all three strands here, I'm going to be using a strand reducer, which is what this is here, so to do all three on one side, and then on the other side where you see that single, I'm going to be attaching a toggle clasp. And I have some open gold jump rings to help me do that. These are the 5.4 millimeter. Now, as far as tools go, we are going to need our 4-in-1 crimping pliers from Xuron. We have our flush cutters, and we have a pair of chain nose pliers. So if you have everything ready to go, we're going to go ahead and get started by working with our strung piece here. Now I'm going to move to one side here, and I'm going to remove my bead stopper, and you just do this by pinching it together, and you see those coils open, and you can just set that aside. So now onto this side here, I'm going to string on one of my crimp tubes, and then I'm going to string one of my wire protectors, and I'm going to go up and over and back down through. It's a little horseshoe here, just like so. But before going through my crimp tube, I'm going to string on the end of one of the pieces of chain here that I have. So now I can scooch that little crimp tube up and go through it. And what I like to do is at least go back through one bead, just for a little added security there, just so we're not crimping and cutting too close to the edge of our bead. So I'm going to leave it just like that. And now you can kind of hold that with your fingers, come in with your Xuron 4-in-1, and we're going to be using that first little notch there. And I like to always pinch going down so you can flip it over. So we want to rest it right in that first little notch there. And now we're just going to crimp our crimp tube, and it makes that little V there. And then what we do is we just rotate it 90 degrees so it sort of faces the outside onto the second piece there, and crimp that again so it kind of folds in out over itself. All right, so now we're going to come in with our crimp cover, slide that on there, and you can just kind of hold it. And then using the end, we're just going to bring that together, and I like to kind of just make sure both ends are coming in. So I just rotate my pliers just a little bit. And what we want to do is make sure that that looks like a nice little metal bead, so it looks like a nice little ball there. And just sort of pinch, pinch, pinch closed. See? Very nice, nice little finish. All right, and now we can go back up here, and we're going to come in with our flush cutters and trim off this tail here. Perfect. And you can just set that little scrap aside. Now go ahead and slide your beads all the way down to the other side. And here's a little tip. Because I want a nice drape, I'm going to kind of fold that almost in half before I remove my bead stopper on this side. Just like so. That way we're not pulling, because if we pull too tight a tension here, and actually let me show you with the bead stopper, if we pull too tight here and really make this nice and stiff, it's going to kind of crunch in on itself. You see how that happens? So we're not getting that nice little drape. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we kind of keep it draped as we're doing this next step. It's a little kind of added tip there. Now, if you are using the closed jump ring method, what you'll need to do is you'll string on your crimp tube just like so, and then you'll do, instead of the wire protector, you'll do the closed jump, you'll do a closed jump ring, and then you'll use an open jump ring to attach your piece of chain. So it's just an added little connection there. I like to use the wire protectors. It makes it a nice little kind of sleek look there, but feel free to do whatever you like. All right, so I'm just going to repeat what I did on that first side on the second side. So kind of go up and over that horseshoe. Also, this is really nice. It keeps your thread really nice and sort of protected, but it helps the longevity of your piece. All right, so now we're kind of pulling it tight. And what we want to do again is we're going to go through our crimp tube. And if you can sneak it through at the same time, go ahead and go through that next bead there. And then we can kind of use this tail to pull through, and you can kind of wiggle it. Again, we want it to be tight, but also draped. So you kind of just have to work on this side just a little bit more than we did kind of on that first side. There we go. And I'm just gonna, mine got a little caught there. There we go. All right, so that feels good there. So again, just gonna kind of hold that out, come in with our 4-in-1s here, crimp our crimp tube, rotate, crimp again, and here's where you can kind of sneak your flush cutters in and go ahead and trim that off, get that out of the way, because we won't be needing that anymore. Beautiful. All right, and we're just going to add our crimp tube here, and now just close that up. So that's how you can really combine the strung jewelry and the chain to make it look just kind of nice and sleek. Also, this allows you to have a focal. Let's say you have, some leftover beads or pearls or crystals or something that you want to use. This is a great way to utilize that, but, still not feel like you have to make an entire strung piece of jewelry. All right, so now let's talk about this particular necklace that I've been working on here. So each of these strung pieces are exactly the same number of beads. I've just sort of used different colors there to just really go for a mixed metal kind of feel. But the outer one here, and this is where I also recommend counting your links to get an exact count. So I started with like, oh, I'll do 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches. That was a good guide, but I do want to let you know that for the Rolo chain that I'm using in particular here, this on the inside, the silver, is 40 links on each side. So I counted each little link of chain. So I have 40, 47, and 54. So in case you're following along, that's what I did here to create this particular piece. Like I said, I just really enjoyed the way that it was nice and sleekly done. And you can also see that on this center strand here, I used gold findings because I was using those gold beads. But on the back end here, I'm going to be kind of balancing the silver chain with the gold findings here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down so you can see a little bit of what's going on here in the back. So now I'm going to combine all 3 of these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach each of these using jump rings. Now here's where the Xuron 4-in-1s really come in handy because they are actually chain nose pliers at the very end there. So you can actually just use those as regular chain nose pliers. So we have now 2 chain nose pliers. All right, so very simply, we're just going to kind of come in and start opening up some jump rings here. And we're just going to attach as we go. And this is where strand reducers are also really great. This can work great too if you're doing some layered necklaces of just regular chain with some pendants on it. Using a strand reducer will help them from keep them from getting tangled. And that is just a really, really good tip. Now, like I said, you can use whichever kind of colors you like here. You can do more gold or more silver. I like a little extra gold. Of course, this is going to be at the back of your neck, so unless your hair's up, I don't know who's going to see it. I'm also going to be using a toggle clasp here today. And I like the toggle when I'm working with something a little heavier. I just feel that it's a little bit more secure sometimes than a lobster clasp. But we do have some really nice big, large lobster clasps that would work great for this kind of style. All right. And just 2 more here. Okay, last one, and close. Very nice. All right, now we're just going to use a couple of those jump rings to attach the toggle clasp. Now, if you want, you can use additional pieces of chain on the back here to extend the necklace as a whole. So let's say you've constructed the whole thing and then you're like, oh, I really wish it was longer. Before you add on your toggle clasp here, you could actually add an additional length of chain where I just added that jump ring, and it will lengthen the entire necklace. So you can do that as well. But about, just so you know, that first chain there, like I said, each of those beaded pieces is about 8 inches. So as you're adding your 5, 6, and 7, again, you can absolutely adjust the chain length. So as a last thing here, I want to show you on a jewelry bust what this looks like when it's draped. So I'm just going to bring the necklace in here, and we're going to add it to our bust here. So you can just see the nice little spacing that we have here of the 3 strands of jewelry. Now when we flip it over to the back here, you'll see that it keeps everything really nice and separated with that strand reducer. Now again, if you did want to expand this, I would recommend adding a piece of chain in between the strand reducer and the clasp on both sides respectively. That's an easy way to kind of make that adjustment for yourself. So this is very nice and easy. This is a great way to combine your strung jewelry with your chain. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com.